We like to believe that if we work hard enough, plan well enough, and care deeply enough, life will eventually calm down and let us breathe. The hard truth is that it will not. The world will not become less uncertain to ease your anxiety. If peace is going to exist, it will have to exist inside you, or it may not exist for you at all. Yet there is another truth, quieter but just as real. Human beings have been living with fear, chaos, and insecurity for thousands of years, and some of them learned how to remain inwardly free in the middle of it. This is the promise of what you are about to hear. Not a trick to erase anxiety, but a way to stand differently in front of it. By the end of this journey, you will not have a new slogan. You will have a few timeless principles drawn from ancient philosophy, especially the Stoics, that you can actually test in the most anxious corners of your modern life. We often treat anxiety as a defect, a sign that something has gone wrong inside us. The hard truth is that anxiety is not a malfunction. It is a message. It is your mind telling you that you are trying to control what was never yours to command. In the ancient world, the Stoics lived under emperors who could kill them on a whim, under diseases they could not cure, in economies they could not predict. And yet they insisted that a peaceful mind was possible, because peace does not come from what happens, it comes from how you meet what happens. Look closely at your own anxiety, and you will often find a simple pattern. It gathers around things you cannot fully control: what people think of you, what might happen tomorrow, how a situation could unfold weeks from now. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus began his teaching with a single dividing line: there are things that depend on you and things that do not. Your judgments, choices, and actions depend on you. Almost everything else does not. Anxiety grows when you quietly cross this line and demand control over the uncontrollable. Consider a modern scene. You send a message, and the reply does not come. Instantly, your mind generates a story. They are angry. They are abandoning you. You have failed. Your heart races. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts spiral. Nothing in the external world has actually happened yet. All that has changed is the story in your mind. You are trying to control another person's reaction, the future shape of your relationship, the script of tomorrow. Ancient wisdom would not tell you to pretend you do not care. It would ask you a different question. What part of this is truly yours to govern? Perhaps it is only this: to speak honestly, to act with integrity, and to allow the rest to be what it will be. Here is the reversal. Modern culture tells you that control is the cure for anxiety. Ancient philosophy suggests the opposite, that anxiety often is the cost of chasing control you cannot have. The more you demand guarantees, the more fragile you become. The more you insist that life obey your plans, the more any deviation feels like danger. Letting go is not passivity. It is a disciplined refusal to fight battles you cannot win, so that you can fight, calmly, the ones you can. This leads to a deeper reflection. Your freedom does not begin when the world becomes safe. Your freedom begins when you stop basing your peace on the world's behavior. The Stoics called this inner citadel, the part of you that no tyrant, no misfortune, no public opinion can touch. You carry it into the office, into the hospital waiting room, into the late-night silence where the mind tries to frighten itself. The citadel is built from choices: what you will value, where you will place your attention, which thoughts you will let pass, and which you will invite in. Imagine walking into a stressful meeting. The stakes are high, the outcome uncertain. The usual path is to rehearse every possible failure, to watch yourself being judged, rejected, exposed. Anxiety swells because your attention is in a future you cannot yet inhabit, in other people's minds you cannot read or rule. Try the Stoic experiment instead. Before you enter, say to yourself, my job is not to secure the outcome. My job is to show up with clarity and courage. Suddenly, one small piece of ground becomes solid. You can choose to be honest, to listen carefully, to speak as well as you can. The rest will always be beyond your reach. This is not resignation. It is the first move toward a different kind of strength. Another hard truth: you cannot wait until you feel safe to live your life. If you delay action until anxiety vanishes, you slowly train yourself to be ruled by fear. The ancient philosophers knew this well. They saw that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move in the presence of fear, guided by something deeper than comfort, by values, by truth, by a sense of what kind of human being you wish to become. Before we continue, if this way of exploring anxiety resonates with you, consider subscribing so these reflections can meet you again when you might need them most. And if a particular idea is stirring something in you, leave a thoughtful comment. Your reflection may be the exact perspective someone else is quietly searching for. Now, in the second half of this journey, let us turn from the surface of anxiety to its roots, our relationship to pain, failure, and time itself. Because beneath almost every anxious thought lies an unexamined belief about what you must avoid at all costs. We are often taught, without anyone saying it out loud, that a good life is one in which we minimize pain and maximize comfort. The hard truth is that this belief quietly radicalizes anxiety. If pain is meaningless, if failure is intolerable, then every risk becomes terrifying. The Stoics proposed a stark alternative. Pain and failure are not enemies, they are teachers. They do not decide your worth, they reveal it. Reflect for a moment on a difficulty you have already survived, an illness, a heartbreak, a humiliation. At the time, you may have felt that you were breaking. Yet, you are still here, listening, breathing. Notice this: the memory of the event still exists, but the sharpness of the pain has softened. What tends to remain is not the terror, but the way you responded, the patience you developed, the priorities that shifted, the relationships that deepened or fell away. This is one of the oldest insights in philosophy. Suffering is not simply what happens to you, it becomes what you make of it. Picture a project that fails. You lose money, status, or an opportunity. Anxiety screams that this must never happen again, that you must plan and worry enough to guarantee success next time. Ancient wisdom suggests a different stance. Ask, what part of this failure was within my control and what part was not? Within your control, your effort, your preparation, your honesty, your willingness to learn. Beyond your control, the market, other people's choices, accidents of timing. If you judge yourself only by outcomes, anxiety will own you. If you judge yourself by the quality of your actions, you remain free even when you do not get what you hoped for. This is the reversal. We think freedom means having many options and favorable circumstances. The philosophers propose that real freedom is the ability to remain inwardly steady even when options close and circumstances turn against you. Freedom is not the absence of chains in the world, it is the absence of chains inside the mind. One of the heaviest chains is our fear of the future. Modern anxiety is often a form of time travel. The body sits in the present while the mind runs ahead, imagining losses that have not occurred and conversations that have not happened. The Stoics advised a practice that seems almost shocking. Occasionally contemplate the worst. Not to scare yourself, but to strip it of its exaggerated power. Ask, calmly, if the thing I fear most happens, what would actually follow? What would still be in my hands? You discover that even in very dark possibilities, there remains small but significant freedoms. How you respond, whom you lean on, what meaning you choose to give the event. Think of waiting for test results or a crucial decision from someone else. The hours stretch, your stomach tightens, your mind loops the same scene. You are living in an imagined catastrophe. Try stepping back into this moment, this breath, this room. What is truly happening right now? You are sitting, perhaps standing, perhaps walking. Air is entering your lungs. Sounds are reaching your ears. Nothing more is required of you in this instant than to inhabit it honestly. The future will arrive on its own schedule. You do not need to live it in advance. Beneath all of this lies the deepest fear, The fear that life itself is unstable and that one day it will end. Ancient philosophers did not look away from mortality, they walked toward it. The hard truth is that everything you love is temporary, including your own body. Pretending otherwise does not protect you. It only makes every sign of change feel like a threat. When you quietly accept that nothing is guaranteed, something paradoxical happens. Gratitude sharpens, and anxiety begins to lose its absoluteness. You stop demanding that life lasts forever, and start asking how to live this one day well. Imagine a simple evening. Your phone is buzzing, the news is loud, your thoughts are scattered. You pause for a moment and remember, this day will never return in exactly this form. The people you care about, including yourself, are fragile and finite. You choose, deliberately, to be present for the next conversation, the next meal, the next small act of kindness. The external situation has not suddenly become safe for certain, but your posture toward it has shifted from grasping to receiving. This is one of the quiet doors to inner peace. The final reversal is this. We often think that meaning will cure anxiety once we find the perfect purpose, the flawless path. Ancient wisdom suggests instead that meaning is not discovered fully formed. It is continuously created by how you meet the unavoidable tensions of being alive. Fear, failure, pain, and uncertainty are not interruptions to the path. They are part of the path where your character is actually shaped. You may never eliminate anxiety, and you do not need to. What you can do is change what your anxiety means. It can be a signal that you are touching something that matters, that you are stepping outside the thin borders of comfort and into the wide, unpredictable field of a real life. When anxiety comes, you can ask, what am I trying to control that is not mine? What would it look like to act with integrity anyway, even while my hands are shaking? As you move back into the noise of your day, remember that ancient wisdom was not written for monasteries alone. It was forged in markets, courts, battlefields, and sickbeds, in places where people had every reason to be afraid and yet still sought to live with dignity. The philosophers are not asking you to become invulnerable. They are inviting you to become honest about what you can and cannot command, about the cost of always running from discomfort, about the kind of person you wish to be when life refuses to cooperate. You do not need the world's permission to begin. You are already standing where every philosopher began, in the middle of uncertainty, with a mind that can choose what to do with it. Let the noise continue if it must. Somewhere beneath it, there is a still place in you that does not rise and fall with every notification and every imagined future. Stand there, even for a moment, and let your life move around it.